Hello, Suzette.
Hi.
Uh, yeah, the ESTD and the AFTD, both societies are very excited and delighted that you have accepted to present a half-day workshop at our pre-conference workshop on the 9th of March next year in Brussels. So the workshop you will give will talk about the diagnosis of complex dissociative disorder. So can you maybe explain to the professionals who are watching this video what exactly you are going to talk about in a few words?
Sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm always happy to give a workshop on diagnostic assessment. Why? What I have found over the last 30 years is that patients with complex dissociative disorders are very often not recognized at all. So they spend many, many years in the mental health system with other complaints, but the underlying dissociative disorder is not recognized and not treated. The other side is that what I see all over Europe is that sometimes patients are diagnosed as having, especially DID, and at a closer look, they do not have DID, but they have probably often personality disorder problems. I call it the trauma of the unseen child, and they get confused sometimes together with their therapist about the symptoms. That in itself is not so surprising because I think assessment of a complex dissociative disorder is not easy. A very clear DID patient is easy because you get the cluster of symptoms sometimes quite fast. And that cluster is amnesia and Schneiderian symptoms and all sorts of depersonalization, but also PTSD symptoms. However, the majority of our clients, our patients, because there's so much comorbidity, because there are early attachment problems, present us with a complex picture, a complex presentation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about a relatively new diagnostic instrument, the Trauma and Dissociation Symptoms Interview, which I developed actually already since 2006. But I have recently published in Dutch a book about assessment, including this interview. It's going to be translated and published by Norton in English and so far also in German. Because I, over the years, found that if you really want to assess, it's helpful to also add questions on trauma-related symptoms. Why patients who have a complex dissociative disorder like DID answer slightly differently on these category of questions. And another thing is that I found that symptoms like depersonalization, derealization, and absorption are actually shared by many, many people, other psychiatric patients. They are part of other psychiatric disorders. And when I saw either underdiagnosis or especially overdiagnosis, that was based on, I would say, the interpretation of what we call alterations of consciousness that are quite common, as being part of DID, of a division of the personality. Now, patients with DID do report a lot of symptoms of alterations of consciousness, but they also have to report a cluster of other symptoms. And confusion, I think, is often actually about, let's say, the qualitative differences, and those are really subtleties of what a patient actually reports. And patients who have psychiatric problems, but not a dissociative disorder, especially patients who have a personality disorder, will answer on any diagnostic interview with a lot of positive, affirmative answers. And then the next challenge for us as as clinicians is to understand, what does this positive answer mean? And is it indeed a dissociative symptom that fits in the cluster of symptoms of a complex dissociative disorder patient, or does it mean something else? Well, I guess that is what I will try to explain during that workshop. And I certainly will also show as much as possible video material to see the different reactions of patients on that TED's eye interview, to see the differences on all the different parts of that interview, the trauma-related symptoms, the alterations of consciousness, and the symptoms that really indicate a division of the personality. It is a challenge because it's only half a day, but I hope at least people who will participate get just an idea of what they have to look for, the difficult areas, the challenges. Well, so everybody is welcome. And I think it's important because what I see is that in many cases, for instance, when you know somebody's traumatized, the treatment is sometimes too early focused on treatment of traumatic memories. And if the dissociative disorder is missed, this also can lead to that the patient is overwhelmed, or to a disaster, or to a deterioration in functioning. So I really think both ways it's important to be able to assess the complexity and the dissociative disorder. That's what I can say about this workshop.
Okay, thank you, Suzette. But I really think it will bring a lot of clarity in this complex matter of the complex dissociative disorder. But from what I know from your workshops, I know it will be very, very helpful.
Well, I hope I will do my best.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.